Let's start in Uganda. President Yoweri Museveni, in power since 1986, is set to rule another term after a landslide win in the concluded presidential election. But the campaign was marked by heavy security, internet restrictions, and opposition complaints of intimidation and arrests.
Today is Saturday, the 17th of January 2026, and the time is 9 a.m. in the morning. My wife and I have been under house arrest since the 15th of January when we had elections. And yesterday, our house was raided by some police officers together with a number of other unknown individuals in plain clothes. Amidst that raid, I was able to use my skills and escape my house. But I know they're looking for me.
All our actions have one end state, have one specific objective: to ensure that nobody destabilizes our security. Not a journalist, not any form of reporting, not any citizen, not even Kyagulanyi himself.
At least 7 people were killed overnight after the tense presidential election.
The Ugandan election, from all aspects, and talking from a democratic perspective, these are not free and fair elections because there was no level playing field for the opposition to field its candidates and for the citizenry to feel that they will go out there and vote peacefully and their will get heard.
Tanzania felt that same tension in October. President Samia Suluhu Hassan won with nearly 98% of the vote after key opposition candidates were blocked. Protests followed and police opened fire on demonstrators. Now when elections feel closed before they even begin, people take their anger to the streets.
So what happened in Tanzania was very unfortunate, those controversial elections, and more controversial and more unfortunate, the loss of life, the massive loss of life that occurred. The shutting down of the internet in the name of we are trying to protect, we're trying to prevent disinformation and misinformation. The internet is a tool for good. Governments should learn to use the internet to police. In fact, if you leave the internet on during an election period, you reduce the tension within the state, you reduce the tension among the citizens who are voting, information flows, you prove as a leader you have nothing to hide because you want as much information to be outside there, and then you let the world judge how you're conducting your elections. You are confident enough that the world will judge how you conduct your elections, and you will not be found wanting because you have nothing to hide.
But zoom out and the picture across Africa is mixed. In Malawi, a former president returned through the ballot box. In Seychelles, voters brought back a party they had once voted out. And in South Africa, the ANC lost its majority for the first time since 1994 and had to share power. But elsewhere, democracy has also taken a hard hit. In Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, military leaders seized power through coups. All 3 later left the regional bloc ECOWAS and formed their own alliance. Governments that didn't come from elections. In Madagascar, youth-led protests over poor services forced the president to sack his cabinet. But the unrest didn't stop, and later the military stepped in and removed him from power. It shows how public anger can move politics, though not always in democratic ways.
You have this youthful population with aspirations, ambitions, who want to move their countries forward, who are enlightened. It's a very enlightened population that we have. And then we have this old guard, these leaders who have decided they will do old things. And we have in Christianity, we say you can't put new wine in old wineskins. So sooner or later, what is going to have the youthful population have time on their side, and they will keep on pushing and demanding good governance and good leadership. And that's why I was saying, Zainab, unfortunately, where it is headed is that this old guard, sooner or later, are going to be swept out of power. And what will sweep them out of power are revolutions and demands from a youthful population who are not willing to wait till, forever, who are not willing to wait forever for these old politicians to run down economies and to mismanage economies and to really deny them a seat at the table.
Here's a big factor behind all this. Africa is the youngest continent in the world, but many of its leaders are among the oldest. In some countries, the average citizen is under 20, while presidents in their 70s and 80s, even 90s.
And remember, even in the military coups, it is young leaders who are taking over. It is young leaders who are leading these military coups because they are tired of waiting for this old guard to seek power peacefully. In other places, it's going to be outright revolutions, and revolutions, like I'm saying, sometimes are very bloody, because like what we have seen in the few places where there have been mass demonstrations against bad leadership, it is only bloodshed that is the result. So we are going to come into a very difficult situation. So Africa needs to call itself to a meeting. Africa needs a revival, a rejuvenation, of democracy, so that we get leaders who are going to respect the rule of law, leaders who are going to respect human rights, and leaders who are going to abide by what their constitutions say in terms of term limits and in terms of good governance.
We need a president that is more of like a Pan-African kind of president. Like we need someone like the Traoré, like the Ibrahim Traoré that we see. We need someone that we need roads. We need good hospitals. We need portable water supplies. There are a lot of things that we need in our country. There is so much changes that we need right now. A lot.
At the core, democracy really is about people believing their voices matters. Africa's youth, now the continent's majority, are not waiting quietly, as we've seen in Kenya and other African states where active citizens push for accountability on the streets and in online spaces as well. A lot will depend on how leaders continue to respond to this shift and how that will shape the future of democracy across the continent.